Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Nama Bharatha today. We're diving into a gripping and often overlooked chapter of American history, John F. Kennedy's presidency and a crisis that many have forgotten or never knew about. Imagine a time when the world stood on the brink of nuclear war, and yet the details of that moment seem to fade into the shadows of history. What if I told you that this crisis didn't just test Kennedy's leadership, but it also shaped the future of global politics? Stay tuned as we unravel JFK's forgotten crisis. To understand this crisis, we need to set the stage with some historical context. The world after World War II was a battleground of ideologies, with two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, facing off in what we now call the Cold War. During the late 1950s, tensions escalated dramatically. President Dwight D. Eisenhower implemented policies that would later create a tense environment for his successor. When John F. Kennedy was elected in 1960, he brought with him a new vision, a youthful energy that promised change. His inauguration heralded a new frontier for America, inspiring hope but also potential crises. As we explore Kennedy's presidency further, keep this backdrop in mind. The stakes were incredibly high and the stakes even higher. The specific crisis we're focusing on today is often overshadowed by the more famous Cuban Missile Crisis. While that event in October 1962 was pivotal, Kennedy faced another unrealized crisis earlier, his taken-for-granted struggle in Berlin. Following the construction of the Berlin Wall in 1961, the situation in Berlin was precarious. Just imagine, a divided city symbolizing the larger ideological battle between East and West. Kennedy was faced with a formidable challenge: how to respond to Khrushchev's bullying while simultaneously ensuring the safety of West Berliners and not provoking a conflict. In the lead-up to this crisis, we saw the Bay of Pigs invasion, a disastrous attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro, which for many signified American imperial overreach and emboldened the Soviets. It also created a sense of vulnerability around Kennedy's leadership. Fans of JFK might see the irony. Someone who spoke of a peaceful coexistence now faced the daunting shadow of nuclear war right in Berlin. As tensions mounted, let's look deeper into how Kennedy navigated this crisis. Through the summer of 1961, the air was thick with dread. U.S. troops were stationed at the Berlin Wall, ready to respond if the situation escalated. It was a ticking time bomb. Kennedy's strategy was a careful mix of resolve and restraint. Although he strengthened military presence, he also sought diplomatic channels to ease tensions. One of the most pivotal moments was his speech in Berlin, where he famously declared, "Ich bin ein Berliner." This not only reassured West Berliners, but sent a strong message to the Soviets. Kennedy was affirming America's commitment without backing down. But what about the role of media in all this? The coverage of the Berlin crisis shaped public perception immensely. Kennedy's image as a decisive leader was both bolstered and tested depending on the narrative that unfolded through news outlets. As the Berlin crisis reached its peak, a combination of diplomacy and military posturing ultimately led to a resolution. By mid-1963, détente started to form as the U.S. and USSR began finding common ground. In the aftermath, Kennedy's handling of the Berlin crisis had significant implications for his presidency. While his approval ratings surged, the underlying fear remained. How close were we really to nuclear war? What can we learn from this? Leaders today must grasp the balance between military strength and diplomatic engagement. The consequences of miscalculation can be dire. As we reflect, it's essential to recognize how history can resonate in contemporary issues, be they geopolitical, social, or technological. Kennedy's experience reminds us that diplomacy can often be the most powerful weapon when the stakes are high. To wrap up, JFK's forgotten crisis showcases a vital yet often overlooked chapter of his presidency. The decisions made during that period not only defined American foreign policy, but highlighted the constant balancing act that leaders must perform during times of uncertainty. So, what do you think? How could alternative decisions have changed the course of history? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Nama Bharatha, and share it with your friends. Your support truly helps us dive deeper into historical narratives, uncovering the lessons from our past. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.